Hi, and welcome to yet another one of these videos. Last time we looked at using chords to do interesting things. So we got down here. Minor 11 will do. I can print out those notes and it would give me a ring buffer with the notes from the chord in it. These are the MIDI note numbers for the chord E4 minor 11th. Of course, I can play those notes and we can do other things with them. I'm just going to quickly revise something if we want to, because this is actually a ring buffer if we look at it, which means it sort of goes on forever. 64, 67, 61, 74, 78, 81, back to 64, 67, 61 again. And we can have a little loop going like this. I'm going to say notes.look. I like putting a tick up there. So move on to the next one. And this will play through the notes in the chord. And so on. So those are the notes in my chord. So what am I going to do with these? Well, what I want to do is cut this live loop out and actually make this a scale. I'm going to play around with the scale. It's going to be based, I want to go D3. And I'm going to choose a fairly normal scale. Let's go for Dorian. If I print out the notes, then I get these notes, which is 1 octave of the scale, and I actually want 2 octaves, which will give me quite a few notes to play with. Right, now I'm going to do something interesting. It's going to be a very, very simple live loop, but we're going to find it does something interesting, I hope. So 4 times do. I'm going to use random seed. Come on. Oh my gosh, there goes my typing. Use random seed, some number I just make up. We can play around with that later. And I want to 4 times 8 times do, I think, actually. Choose one of these notes. Okay, so that should actually give me something here. Choosing notes from the D3 Dorian scale of 2 octaves. Okay, it sounds a bit, it's going on, no rhythm there. So I'm going to say if several things. Let's use a synth. Let's go with D-Saw. Use synth defaults. It's quite dull. And amp the amplitude down a bit. And okay, it'll give me some sort of a note. If I used WiFFX and put some sort of filter, slowly changing filter on that, sound a bit dancey, but I just wanted to make things a little bit more interesting. This if 1 or 2, and then 2 added to the end of play notes.choose means that this will only play, it tosses a coin, and half the time it'll play the notes. This again is a random choice, so my melody will change because I'm creating random numbers, both to choose the note and to decide if that note should play. Okay, it's a bit boring and repetitive. So what am I going to do to make it a little bit less boring and repetitive? I'm going to put this in a live loop. Perhaps I should have used a better name, but never mind. So live loop zappy do, it's going to do that 4 times and use a random seed. We're using notes.choose, so there's no tick going on yet. What I want to do is this, is I'm going to have seeds equals ring and 234, 234, 418, 512, and then back again. Inside my live loop, I'm going to say 4 times 2. In fact, I don't need the 4 times 2 anymore because the live loop is going to repeat things enough. So let's just simplify that down. Go up again. And here I'm going to go tick and use random seeds.look. This is a technique I use quite a lot. Have a ring buffer of seeds, and these seeds are chosen so I can then work out what each one of these should be to give myself a good melody. Don't like these two. Except because of the way I've done things, I need to restop my ring buffer, restop my entire running thing and start it up again so it gets new seeds. That sounds a bit more interesting. If I then actually get rid of the variable, this becomes a little bit better, because fundamentally now, because that's inside my live loop, if I update my live loop, this ring buffer will change, and therefore I will be able to sort of modify it as I'm going along, as I'm listening. Let's have a go with that. Do the print, it's not going to work anymore. Okay, I think they're good except for the last one, so let's put 6654. It's not the best melody in the world, but you can see we can work on it. Now, the thing I did want to show you is this. We can do things like this, and this allows us to go notes.choose and things like that. But I want to actually get rid of all of this code and start using my scale in a slightly more computational way. So let's see what we're going to do. I'm going to have another ring buffer called roots. And that has to be a ring buffer. Okay, and now I'm going to have a live loop. Chordy. This is not going to have any randomness in it actually, but I'm going to make the chords from the notes and the roots. So how are we going to do this? Well, what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to have a tick. And tick is much more complicated than I'm showing you at the moment. I'm just showing you the very simplest use of it. But even this can do a lot of very musical things. And what am I going to do? I'm going to use synths. What should I use? I'm going to use Prophet. Okay, and I'm going to go use synths. And I always have to get it spelt right. Let's give me something, and I'm going to play this. What I'm going to play, I'm going to play notes. No, I'm going to do it simpler than that. I'm going to say this note, and then play, what did I call my scale? Notes, this note. Let's see what this does. Notes is a ring buffer, and previously we've been using methods to get inside the ring buffer and look at things. It's from a scale, but it's a ring buffer. If I go .look, it gets sort of like the current one according to my how many ticks I've done. I can just play the whole thing at once, and it plays the whole thing at once. So if it's an entire scale, it'll play the whole scale as a chord, which is probably going to be a bit dissonant. What I do here is that this note might have a value, because it's from roots, of 0, 0, 2, and 4. If I do this, then if it's 0, then I get the first note in the scale, which will be the D3. If it's 2, I go 2 more steps up inside the scale, and if it's 4, I go 4 more steps up inside the scale. This square brackets here is saying choose one of these notes, and if it's 0, choose the first one. If it's 1, choose the second one. If it's 2, choose the next one, and so on. This means that I'll be choosing notes from the scale and playing them back. And let's see if it does the 0, 0, 2, 4 thing. Oh dear, and it would help, of course, if I remembered to make my loop actually sleep. Let's put some print statements in so we can see these things happening. This can help us see what's going on inside the code. In fact, I'm going to print out roots as well. I'll print out notes. And of course, oh, what am I doing? So let's see what we do over here. There are notes. In fact, stop that and just have a quick look at this over here. So let's get this a little bit further over, get a bit more space. And let's have a look. If you go up the top, we see that these are the notes, and this is our 2 octaves of Dorian scale from 50 up to 74. If this note's 0, which we got from roots, then notes this note, which is choosing the first one, because there's a 0 inside these square brackets, is 50. Same again for the next one. And then if we play it, we'll hear it going up in frequency as we get the choose the third one and choose the 5th one. Note that since it starts from 0, 0 is the first, 1 is the second, 2 is the third, 3 is the fourth, and 4 is the 5th one from this ring buffer up here. That's the 0, that's the third, and that's the 5th. Let's play this again and see what we get. Okay, the prophet's rather strident, so I'm going to put a cutoff on it. And now let's play some interesting things. What I can do is I can play more than one of these notes. Right, you're probably aware of the concept. You put your hands on a piano keyboard and play only the white keys and put your fingers 2 notes apart. So your first one might be on a C, the next one's on an E, the next one's 2 notes up on the G. You take that pattern, that exact same pattern, and move it up and down, and you get different chords. And you get all the chords diatonic to C major, such as C major, D minor, E minor, etc. So I can do the same thing here. If this is choosing number 0, then this is the one which is 2 further up. If this is number 4, then this is the note which is 2 further up. It will play both of these notes together because the plays don't have any sleeps between them. Let's see what we get. And it's starting to sound a bit chordy because we're playing a note, the next note two notes up inside the scale, and the next note 2 notes up inside the scale. Let's see what we get with 3 of them. I'm going to change that D3 to a D4, and let's see. And that's another way in which we can get a little chord progression going on. Note that if I wanted to take these up an octave, if I add plus 12 to all of them, well, 12 notes in the scale is up to the next octave, so this will take them all up. And I could actually leave one of them alone, so I get a little inversion there. There are other ways of producing chord inversions, but this concept of being able to take the scale and use it in this way is very, very musically useful. And I can even make 7th chords. And put the 7th down on the root properly. Okay, I will say these little examples, they're not producing sort of musically fascinating sounding things, but here I'm just sort of trying to go over the basic concepts and keep things sort of fairly simple. And if you then start playing around with these techniques, but spend much more time looking at the parameters of your synthesizers, looking at effects you use, etc., and sort of having multiple live loops going at once and being able to play around with things, then I think you'll find that it's much, much more, how do you put it, the results will be much, much more musical. Anyway, that's the end of this movie, so thank you very much. Hopefully see you in the next one.